What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, if you're a blind film critic, and we're getting into another show. Another show, another day, another dollar, and another night of the Seven Kingdoms. This is a new HBO Max drama. It just dropped. We're doing season 1, episode 1. WBD does not know that I'm alive, so they did not give me the first 5 episodes like they did some other critics. Which is fine, whatever. A lot of times pre-screening, like I was supposed to get Wonder Man. That hasn't happened yet, even though I was confirmed for it, and I don't really care because they're not gonna give me audio description. But so whatever. And Warner would not have given me audio description with this either. So c'est la vie. I get audio description this time. It's done by International Digital Center, and it is high quality audio description. So, and it's British. We have a British narrator here. I appreciate it. So the series is based on George R. R. Martin's series of novellas, The Tale of Duncan Egg. I don't know. I didn't read them. I did my research enough to know that it's based on something and they didn't just dream this up on a whim, but I obviously this follows this is the now third in the series. Game of Thrones based on the Song of Ice and Fire series, House of the Dragon being a prequel to that. I believe this takes place after everything because this has no dragons in it. So that's what I've heard in the timeline of things. And although it could also just take place way before the birth of dragons, so this could be like a prequel. I don't know, but the interpretation has been that the dragons are all dead, and this takes place afterward. So Duncan is our lead here, played by Peter. I don't know how to pronounce his last name because my screen readers are Quirwin, or I don't know, something. And he's Duncan the Tall, and he's tall. And there's going to be some references to that. I don't know if that means that there are little people in this, or if they just found somebody who should be playing in the NBA. But I don't know what that means to this film. But or if he's just wearing lifts. Oh, he got Tom Cruise's shoes. So he was a squire for another knight who is no longer with us, and he is seeking for the opportunity to compete in this tournament for glory, and otherwise he's kind of poor, very sort of raggedy and shabby, and he meets this kid that points out to him, who questions whether or not he's a knight because he uses a rope to keep his blade affixed to the side of him, like a rope belt, not like a real belt. So, and he doesn't have money for all the fancy stuff that other knights do, like tents, and he sleeps under the stars, and he sleeps up against trees, which is also really disturbing considering the first thing that happens in the series. By the way, I go into everything with like an open heart and open mind, and I walked into this, and so I was waiting for that, because especially with series like this, like I'm not gonna do my Rotten Tomatoes grade yet for this, so it's got room to grow. But it's like you wait for that first indication of where you're gonna start the score at and work your way up or down from there, and it's like playing darts, and then uh, right before you throw the dart, somebody screams in your ears, and the dart goes wildly off course. So I'm down in like the sixes. I it's struggling to be fresh right now. I There are a couple things that it's like I just think are so amateurish to open anything with, like a film, a TV series, whatever, and that's one of them. I would say I kind of roll my eyes at everything that ever opens with a sex scene. I'm like, God, guys, we've done this. The Hays Code was so long ago. Please stop railing against it. We've move the fuck on, please. Unless your film is Boogie Nights and is directly about porn, a lot of films that just open with random sex scenes for no discernible reason other than to shock you into reminding you, being like, I hope you didn't bring the kids. It doesn't help the movie. So we just cannot be that horny of a population where we're like, oh my god, oh thank God it's opening with a sex scene. Oh. Like that can't be the reason. We have to stop doing that. Um so he shits at the right at the fucking beginning of the show. I swear to God, this man like has a gnarly shit. I don't. That can't be a spoiler. That just cannot be a spoiler. It has nothing to do with the rest of the series. This man is gonna shit against a tree, and it is gooey, and the sound effects, and I don't know what you're seeing, but my God, I was so turned off, like right at the beginning, and I was thinking about the gravitas of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, and I was like, well, I guess that's gone. Like immediately. I mean, like the audacity of those, way to, I guess, say that you're different and stake your claim. This feels like for the people who have been asking um, for something different, the people who are complaining about House of the Dragon, well, this is what you get. You, you like? It's different. Different doesn't always mean better, but it certainly is different. So, we're gonna Boba Fett our way through the series and follow just Duncan instead of ensembling this thing and trying to follow a disparate group of people across many different families and Westeros and Eastros and Northros, and I know that's not a place. So, just naming random things now. Um, yeah, you pretty much just stick with Duncan. He picks up along the way a young squire named Egg, who's this little boy that follows him around. Who's going to be clearly the second billing character in the show, because we don't spend enough time with anyone else in the first episode for them to be a meaningful contribution to the sustainability of the show. In terms of, ooh, this character is going to do a lot, or I don't even know who the main villain is here. Like, I couldn't even tell you. There are some people who it's like, we spent a little bit of time with them, but that doesn't necessarily mean in the trajectory of things that, so. And they're planning a multi-season. It's already been picked up for a second season because, of course, it has, because it's a Game of Thrones series. So, and I guess there's a series of novellas that are based around Duncan, so everything's already written. So season 2 will be the next book that George R. R. Martin wrote, because I guess he can write novellas for this dude, but he can't write the next book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. Anyway, what are the pros here? The kid's good. Egg, I liked him. Um, Feels like a weird fit for the show though. When you like really think about he's almost a little too cheery and optimistic for the demeanor of what we've had in terms of kid actors. Like we've had most of our child actors who have been in any Game of Thrones series have had or seen some shit. So it's weird for him to be here and be so oddly upbeat, but the tone of this is sort of oddly upbeat. This feels like it's trying to Mandalorian its way through history and work its way into your heart and minds by being everything that the previous two series have not been, which is something, but the tonality here is different. It's not as serious. It's not as angry or violent or I don't know, sexually forward or anything that the series has been before. Feels very off. It feels like it feels like a side quest, which is what it is. And I don't know how many people are going to become obsessed about a side quest. So the guy playing Duncan sounds and feels like Chris O'Dowd. So that's all I was picturing the whole time. Um, was that it's he's got that vibe to him. If you're just sort of unfamiliar with like long-term plans, just imagine if Chris O'Dowd was doing it. And since I think you're probably a little bit more familiar with his work, that would be about what this dude is doing. He's giving you Chris O'Dowd the whole time. Uh, so I didn't like it that much. I mean, it's okay. I'm not gonna cast the final say after one episode. Part of me wants to root for it in the fact that I think this is what they should do. Um, is explore the realm with these kinds of stories that have that we see. This is kind of what Star Wars needs to do, and Star Trek should probably think about doing, are stories that aren't necessarily so wrapped up in the linear timeline of it all and who connects to who, and is he a Lannister? Is he a whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like set in the realm of, and the story is unique in and of itself. It's the beauty that The Mandalorian started with. The reason why when The Mandalorian premiered, everyone went fucking nuts for it is because it was cool as shit. And it wasn't like, oh my god, that's Luke Skywalker's brother. This is the son of, you know, Luke Skywalker. It wasn't like it didn't need to define itself by anything, and it wasn't referring to, and it didn't have, um, it didn't rely on old characters right off the bat. It wasn't like, oh, okay, so there's, oh, the Mandalorian, he's gonna go visit Obi-Wan. Cool. Oh, look, he's gonna fight Vader. I mean, like, it's just, and this is kind of doing that. This is kind of just like we're in the realm, and Duncan is just existing, doing his own thing. But I just wish it took itself a little bit more seriously. And the fact that they felt comfortable shitting at the beginning of the show makes me concerned that they never will. It's really hard to start with that and then to get people to take you seriously. Um, I mean, transplant that moment into any other film, and it immediately would besmirch the quality of that film. You know, imagine if like Schindler's List started with somebody shitting up against a tree, like having massive runny diarrhea up against a tree, and then like you're supposed to take the rest of the film seriously after that. It's like it's hard to disassociate rhythmically from that, and then ease yourself back into the rest of the thing. You're like, why was that even there? It's so if there is gravitas toward the latter half of the season, it's like, then why did you start cartoonishly on the other spectrum? Like, why did you feel comfortable putting that there? To me, it suggests that this one is going to be a comedy version of Game of Thrones, but it's not funny enough to sustain it. So I don't really know what they're doing, and I'm gonna keep going. I mean, I'll remain optimistic about it. I actually like House of the Dragon. I love Game of Thrones. I just wish they hadn't picked who they picked at the end to sit on the Game of Thrones. Fucking Bran. But God, after all that, really, we went through all of that for him to say, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, uh, like, if you had asked me at the beginning, which character do you want, he would have been at like the bottom, like all the way. He'd been like right above like the Hound. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I, I need tonality. I need for it to work a little bit better. He's kind of goofy, of a character right now. I would love for him to be taken more seriously. I think that's the point, is that we're gonna find out that in battle, because he's very self-assured. He's like, if I just can get in there and prove my worth, like, I know I'm a good knight. I just don't look like one. So I'm waiting for that moment, for the Cinderella transformation in his life, where suddenly we look at him and we go, oh my god, he's brilliant. He's just poor, but he's brilliant. You know, I mean, one of the best things of House of Dragon last season was rooting for that guy, his name Joe, something like that, who was like in the city, and they were looking for dragon riders, and he was one of the citizens of the city, and he found out that that he had blood in him, and so he became a dragon rider. I was invested in his story, even though he wasn't a main character, and I'm rooting for him, you know. In amidst all of these other characters that are tied to all these other families, it's like here's this regular guy, you know, who's just trying to do the right thing and do good by his family. So you can put these kind of characters in these stories and weave it around and make us believe and care for them. It's really hard to do that when you open with diarrhea, though. It's really hard to do that. And then go, you know. So very few people meet the love of their life while they're having uncontrollable diarrhea for good reason. You know, it's like the thing that you can't shake. Where'd you guys meet? Well, funny story. Well, my wife over here was shitting her brains out, and I could hear it, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And it's just the sound was illuminating, and we've been together ever since. It's not an endearing quality, and it doesn't really latch you onto a character. What it does is it turns somebody into a punchline, and now you have to undevelop that person from a punchline. So I know some people seem to like this a little bit more. Some people have hated this. So we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes. I'm sort of mixed. I'm very mid on this right now because I can see the potential of it. It unfortunately put itself at a disadvantage unnecessarily right at the beginning with something it didn't need. There was nothing about that it needed to be there. So if you're going to sell me uh, on budget Chris O'Dowd, then that's what I'm going to think of. I'm going to think of this as being like a comedic Game of Thrones. Like, what if Monty Python, you know, was in the writer's room? What would they be doing? So if you want to be taken seriously, you've got work to do. But if you want to turn this into comedic Game of Thrones, all right, well, let's see what that looks like, you know? Why not? We don't have comedic Star Wars. Not really, anyway. I mean, we have some things that just don't work, so they end up being unintentionally funny, but we've never really done like a straight up, like, hilarious series or movie based on a funny character because people had such a negative reaction to Jar Jar Binks. I think they're afraid to do it. Nine of the Seven Kingdoms. Yeah, I'm barely fresh on this. I'm between like a 6 and a 6.5 right now. I like the kid. That's helping the show a lot. But I also wish that he had a little bit more dramatic gravitas to him and felt like he was in this world and that the trials and tribulations actually have befallen him. He feels a little too perky for somebody who has been likely at the bottom of the rung for a long time. So I would love for him to feel a little bit more downtrodden, given his circumstances and the stuff he keeps sharing with us about like how he doesn't have parents and all that kind of stuff. So, um, for a Game of Thrones child, he's a little too optimistic. We don't usually get kids with his level of optimism, and it could work, but I think in the beginning, when we know only what he's telling us, it's hard to sell us on optimism and then also be like, yep, that's my past. Great. I would love for the optimism within you to grow and not be just evident from the beginning because now I don't know where your character has to go, you know. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe the show will win me over. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.